Alright, welcome. Let's get started. So here we got white, some black, we got brown. We're just going to get started here with a little white on the fan brush. We want to start brushing in some stripes. The idea isn't that it has to be perfect, it's just trying to get some color on there. Get a little more white on there. Add another one. And you want to join them in at the side there. We'll come across the canvas on the side. There's a third stripe. I just want to brighten these up. You want to kind of get as much white on there right now as you can, so when you blend, you got something to blend. Just touch these up. And you just want to swipe up and down motion with the fan brush, or you can use a 4-inch brush, which I grab right now. You can use any brush really, you're just trying to spread it out and pull the paint down vertically, directly down. You don't want to go sideways just yet. We're going to do some upward motions as well too. We'll be pulling the paint up. Now we're going to touch the lines up again, just get a little more white detail in there. What that'll do is brighten up the stripes a little more. Now we just continue on the same thing. And we'll go left to right eventually too. The idea here is just to blend it and kind of to soften the paint. We'll get a little white on there too. We just want to get some color on the background because it's so dark, right? So anything that we put on needs to be brighter than the dark so it'll stand out. If you don't know how to prep the canvas, the black canvas first, you can check out my part 1 video of black canvas prep, or you can watch other video on my channel, Mackenzie Customs, on how to do the white preparation for the canvas. It's a simple technique. What that does is it allows the paint to slide across the canvas a lot easier and allow better blendability. Now we got a standard toothbrush, dip it in some liquid white. Not too liquidy, but enough that we can get it to spray off a little bit. And just add these little spritzes at the top there around the northern lights. You don't want to overdo it. Just get some spritz on there and there'll be some stars in the night sky. We'll get a palette knife with some black paint on there. I'm using lamb black, but any black will work just fine. I'm just going to blend this out quick, a little more, get those white specks off there. You don't really want the white specks down on the landscape, just in the sky. Now we got our little roll of black paint on there. We're going to create some mountains. You're just going to pull it downwards, letting the paint come off the end and spreading it out. You want the most important part is the attention to the outer edge. As long as those edges are nice and crisp, that's the important part right now. The idea with painting is to not take any details too serious, just kind of get it on there right now. This is just, the edges are what's important, not so much the shadow color right now. We'll get a brush to blend that in nicer. I use 2 palette knives because I got a left and a right. Just easier for me to pull down one way or the other. You want this second mountain to be a bit darker than the first one, so it's okay to add a little extra black along this edge. The first mountain will be a little bit lighter because of the white background. The white that it's going over, it's going to blend with it. And we got the brush, we're just going to pull along the edge, make sure those edges are nice and crisp. It's okay if you overlap into the other mountain right now, because you can always fix that up and add a little darker color just to get that ridge line again. We're just kind of spreading the paint out, getting it blended in there, getting the mountain filled in with some color. If you see there, I just swept across the edge and created a flat spot. That's okay, we can come back and fix that too. You'll see on this mountain right now, that edge up against the mountain is a little bit darker. That gives the illusion that it's sitting in front of it. And we got a little detailer brush here. We'll just go along that edge a little nicer and get any of those little spots fixed up that we don't like. Once we got those edges nice, we can get just a little bit of white on that, create like a little bit of a grayish color. We don't need much of it, just enough to create just the faintest little line coming down, and we'll create these ridges. That's going to help us decide where the highlights and shadows should be. You just want to run it back and forth and create these little ridges. Maybe a little one off the side, come down on this one, and create another little thing off the side. Maybe another little detail there. The idea here is on one side of the line, you're going to go a darker shade, and then the other side you'll see here. So we got just a light blue mixed with some titanium white. You don't want it too dark, because this is the highlighted side. This side should be highlighted because of the northern lights are lighting it up a little brighter. We just want to pull directly down, just letting that paint kind of fall off. We'll get a little more, we'll do this side here. Right now it's not too important about the detail. It's just getting some other colors in there and maybe a little depth to the color that we're going to put on the details after. So we touched up those ridge lines. We'll come down this one too. This is another little ridge, so you want to pull it down in the same direction. Okay, just following the ridge line. Get a little color in there. And we're going to get a little bit of a darker blue. That'll help stand out the two sides. And doing it like this, it creates a really pretty detail as well. So now we're starting with the darker blue. You can see too many swipes and you'll blend the color right out because it's wet black still, right? So you'll blend the color out, too many swipes on it. And it's okay right now because we're just adding a little different color of depth, and maybe it's a little lighter in areas than others, and even in these shadowed areas or the light areas. So we got that dark color. We're coming down along that ridge. That's going to define that ridge really nice. You can see already the ridge line starting to stand out. I would just pop a couple highlights in there. Take some of that darker blue and just a couple highlights on the one side, maybe some shadowed areas or whatnot. We'll do the same on the other side here. You just pull the palette knife along with the little roll of paint on there, and the paint will just fall off like that. Creates those beautiful little details. It's a great effect, an easy way to get it. And we got some green on our fan brush. We're going to start just dabbing in some color here and creating a little ridge line of trees. The idea is just to get color on there right now. The green I'm using is just a deep green. You can go with a little bit of a lighter, or there's other greens. But as long as it's a bit of a darker green, because these are distant trees. Not too dark though, because you want to be able to see them up against that dark background. And I can see that's a little dark on that mountain side there, so we're going to need to highlight those a little bit, just a touch. But you pull these things up with the fan brush, and you just, you let them grow into the size that you think they should be. You can create these little ridge lines anywhere with these distant trees. It gives the effect of thousands of little pine trees there in the distance. So I got a little bit of a brighter color there. That's just going to create a little bit of a highlight color there. And as you blend it, it's going to go less bright, but it makes it stand out against that black a little nicer. We'll pop a little tree in at the end here. It'll look like one's sitting a little bit closer. The idea is you don't want the whole top of the tree line to be the same level. You want to create some of the tips a little higher than the others, some a little lower. So we got some white on just a small brush. Any brush will work as long as it's not too big. You just want to get a little white on there, start creating your trail or your path, or and you could go with maybe a light brown if you'd like instead of a white. You just do the same thing but with a light brown. Gray, light gray would work as well. The idea is just to create the illusion that there's a path here. And we'll pull that white down, blend it out a nice little amount. Get some more white on there. Use my bigger brush. And the edge isn't so important. We can let this spread out a little bit more. The idea is that you want it to get bigger as it gets more closer to you. So you start down by the mountains really small and let it grow as it gets closer, and you just create this little angle. We're just pulling the paint down along that edge there. It helps soften the paint out and gives a nice blended color and helps take out any hard lines. And just touch up that top part there too. We'll soften that out a little bit. Just trying to get this, just to what you think it should like as a trail. You go a little wider, maybe a little narrower. It's all up to you. You just fix that edge there, let it bleed off into the distance. We'll be getting some light brown. That's what we're going to use to create these posts that are going to hold our lights. It's a little bit dark, but we'll lighten it up just a tad. And as you're creating these, they should get smaller as it gets further and further down the trail. You just want to make sure you're pulling them vertically from the top to the bottom. Roughly where you think they should sit. Get another one down here. And we'll go on the other side and do the exact same thing coming back up the trail. If you set these in just the right spot, they should almost look like they're side by side. Oh, we got the posts in there. That's good. We just need to get a little bit of yellow mixed with some titanium white. Not too much yellow though. You just want a very light, soft yellow. Right now we're just using a little bit of titanium white that's left over on our brush. We're going to pull it down on an angle from the tree line. It's going to give the illusion that there's a bit of a hill here. We'll do the same on the other side, just pull down on an angle towards the trail. And if you think you got a little bit too much weight on there, it's okay. You can just keep sweeping it along there and it'll soften it up nice. I got my homemade brush here. It's a really soft brush. You could use an acrylic. Brushes work really well for that. You just lightly sweep across it. It softens the paint out nice. Just lightly sweep across. It gets rid of a lot of those brush marks, a lot of the hard lines. It's unnecessary. You don't really need all those hard lines in there. Just a few details just to show there's a hill there. Now we're going to get our light yellow. We want to start adding a little bit of glow from these posts. Just got to get some yellow mixed up here and get my brushes cleaned. It's always important to have a clean, dry brush. So we got a little yellow. We're just going to start popping it a little bit. Just pulling away from each post, spreading that light out in the angle that we would like it to be hitting the trail. As we get closer and further up the trail towards us, we should be putting a little bit more paint on there and making it stand out just a little bit bigger by creating a little bit bigger of a spot of yellow coming off of the post. And how it looks right now isn't super important. It's just getting the color in there because that's the color that we want coming off the light. We'll come back with the fan, or well, you could use a fan brush, but any brush to soften the color. Once we get the glow in here, we can come back and soften it just by going over it lightly, pulling the color out towards the trail. We'll just get some color here on this last one. We're going to need some more color too as well because we're going to put the light onto the trail itself, so it's almost like the light's hitting off the trail. It'll create this like a little bit of a glow effect. So we need to get a little bit more yellow mixed with our titanium white. Now we just pop a little bit in here and there on the trail down there in front of each light that you think where the light should be hitting, starting from the edge, pulling out to the center of the trail. It's not too important down here in the distance, but it'll be a little more important as it gets closer. The idea right now is just to get the color on there, so don't worry too much about how it looks on there. We'll get that brush and just kind of sweep along afterwards. That'll help soften it up a lot. The same thing here, we're just getting color on there. You can see I'm kind of just getting it on there. Because when we come back with our brush, we're going to spread that paint on a little nicer when we soften it. Get a little more color in that area. Now we're going to get our, well, like I said, I got my little homemade brush that I made. It's just a really nice brush. It's got soft bristles and works really well for softening the paint. But like I say, any acrylic brush should work pretty well. You just want to make sure you hit it very, very lightly and be sure to not hit those posts. You don't want to blend those posts away. You're just going to pull the paint out from the post though down towards the trail, and that's going to help soften the paint a lot and make it look like the lights are on. And you can see how I'm pulling from the center of each paint and help spread it out in each direction. It's going to help scatter the light across the trail. Once we're satisfied with how that light's scattered across the trail and blended and gives sort of a nice appearance that maybe a light's on, we can get a little bit our liner brush again, our little liner brush with some black on it. Like I say, I use lamb black, but any black will work nice. You don't even need to necessarily use black. You could even use a silvery gray color. These are just the hoods, though. It's going to look like they're a hood for the light, and that the light bulb is inside of it. And you just go across that beam there and back up to the post and create these little triangles, I guess you could call them. They're little triangles, but they look like light hoods. So that's great. It looks like there's some hoods there. We'll just touch this one up a little bit. Get it a little darker. And same thing. We'll just pull that light out a little bit there. I wanted to touch up that spot. We'll get some green on the brush and we'll start creating some trees. We'll start with the most distant ones first. there is a tree that is unfortunately not going to show up because I've noticed that the video is not pointing to the full left of the edge there of the canvas. There is a little tree that I do there, but you will see the ones that I do on this edge here. And that's all you're doing. You're just getting a little bit of a lighter color and create this little tree at the end. Because it's lighter and a little bigger, it looks like it sits in front of all the others, and maybe it gives the illusion that it's a little closer. Just set out from the bush a little more. So right now I'm just doing a tree, but it's like I said, it's not showing up because the side of the canvas isn't that close, but you'll see this one here, it's the exact same. The idea is just to have them sitting on the hill there. You want to do the same thing, just pull the paint directly down with a little liner brush and some lighter green on there. We got the first stick there anyways, and it's gonna be where one of our trees are, and we'll put another one over here. You just want to use your brush and kind of pull this out to the edge, but in an upward angular motion. Same on the other side, working from the center out. And right now you're just getting a little color there. It's just going to be some shade color. It adds some depth when we start popping in little highlights and stuff, right? The idea is to have fun, like I say, and not get too carried away on any one detail too long. You just trust the process and you'll end up with a very beautiful painting. I'm just touching up the other tree that's just out of sight. It's the exact same as the one that we can see right now, but it's just out of sight. But we're doing the same thing. We're just getting a little color just popping some color on, so there's some shadow color in the background there. And we'll come over to this other one and we'll touch it up as well. Like I say, the idea is just to pull from the center on an upward angular motion. Just not too far out. Just do little tiny pulls at a time until you get the tree to grow as big as you'd like it to be. Or as wide as you'd like it to be. We'll do the same thing here. Just pull that paint up and outward. Just a slight illusion that maybe there's a tree there. We'll start popping in some highlights after. So we've got some green. We're going to go up against this first post here. And you just do these little dabs in an upward motion with your fan brush, vertical straight up and down, and it just creates this little bush. Right now, same thing, we're just getting the color in there. We can pop in some highlights after. I'll add another one right here. I mean, You can put these on the side of the hill as well, or maybe add some more going down the trail. It also works in other paintings as well. I mean, just creates the effect that maybe there's some bushes growing there up against the post. You can do as many of those or as little as you like. Now we've got a little bit of a darker green. We're just going to start dabbing some color in on these trees on the same thing. Upward angular motion. That darkness is just going to help set some shadow, some more distance of shadow in there. Create these different colors and effects because we don't want the trees to just be one color. We'll get at least 3 different colors in there. It makes the trees look just that much nicer and more real. And I'm just doing the same thing to this other tree like that. That's off the camera's view. I'm just dabbing in some color. We'll do the same thing on this guy. Just get a little bit of that dark color in there and an upward angular motion. Not too much, just enough to grab these little spots. We'll get a lighter color and pop some highlights in there. You can do this 1, 2, or 3 times. Just go back and forth with the highlights and the darks and creating these little highlights and shadows until you're happy with it. You want to try not to overdo it too much though, because these trees will grow across the canvas and you won't be able to see anything. I'm just mixing up a lighter color. You want a color that goes nice with the dark scene. You don't want it to be too bright or just a little bit brighter than the colors that we've used. And you can create a brighter color by adding a little yellow to the green, or you can use some orange. But we've got our green in there, some highlights. We're just going to start popping them in on the same thing. We do these little upward angular motions. We're doing the same thing to this other tree. And just start popping in some highlights here. It's going to make it look like maybe there's some branches that sticking out this way or that way. You just want to make sure you go in an upward angular motion, like I said. And you can see it just gives the effect that there's some branches. And we'll do these little bushes here. And you can play around with these trees, and you'll find that some will look a little different than others. But as long as you use some different colors in there, you're going to get a very nice effect. And if you like this painting, please go to my channel, Mackenzie Customs, and like and subscribe. And you can watch some other paintings as well. I know it's been great painting with y'all, and I hope you have a great day. Keep creating. Thanks a lot.